Have you ever found yourself, wrestling with your own emotions, thinking, why is this so difficult sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you've tried to connect with someone whose emotional world just seems to operate on a completely different frequency.
Right.
Well, today, we're taking a deep dive into exactly that,
Mm.
emotional regulation for autism. We've gone through this really comprehensive guide. It's packed with surprising insights, practical strategies.
Yeah, really actionable.
Totally. Our mission here is to cut through some of the noise, the misunderstandings, and give you a clear, useful understanding of a topic that, well, it gets talked about a lot, but maybe not always truly understood.
That's a good way to put it.
So we're setting the stage to explore how autistic people actually experience, express, and manage their feelings. Okay, let's unpack this.
And what's particularly striking here, I think, is just how profoundly this whole topic impacts the real quality of life. It goes
Yeah.
way beyond just, theoretical facts.
Yeah.
It really gets into the fabric of daily routines, relationships, and just overall well-being. It's pretty foundational.
Absolutely foundational. So, okay, starting right at the core then. What is emotional regulation in autism exactly?
Well, the sources define it pretty clearly. It's about handling feelings, anger, sadness, anxiety, in helpful, adaptive ways that work for the person.
Okay, handling feelings helpfully. And there's a key distinction right away, isn't there? Something may be surprising.
Yes, definitely. The guide emphasizes that many autistic people often feel emotions more deeply, more intensely than their neurotypical peers.
Right, that intensity, it's not subtle.
Not at all. And when that intensity isn't managed effectively, it can show up as, well, significant challenges. Things like meltdowns, shutdowns, or these sudden, really overwhelming mood swings.
And these aren't just reactions to, like, major life events.
Yeah. No, often they're triggered by seemingly small things, especially when things change quickly or when someone's just bombarded by loud noises or other sensory input. The research consistently shows that these kinds of difficulties with emotional regulation are significantly more common and often more serious in autistic individuals.
So this isn't just a minor hurdle we're talking about then, is it? It sounds like these challenges can deeply impact just everyday life.
Oh, they absolutely do. If we sort of connect this to the bigger picture, you can really see how fundamental it is. Its impact ripples across at least 3 core areas.
Okay, what are those?
So first, daily life. Like you said, autistic individuals often feel emotions more strongly. They might really struggle to shift their thinking or, see other perspectives when those emotions are running high.
Makes sense.
And simple things in the environment, loud sounds, bright lights, they can make things much harder, make it tougher to stay calm. Their bodies might react differently too, like noticeable changes in heart rate. Brain scans even show differences in how they recognize and control feelings. And if these challenges go unmanaged, yeah, they can lead to more significant behavior problems, a greater need for mental health services. It's quite stark, actually. Autistic teens and young adults consistently report much higher stress levels.
That's significant. And the other areas?
But then there's relationships.
Yeah.
Good emotional regulation is just essential for making and keeping friends. The research is really clear on this.
How so?
Teaching these skills doesn't just lower problem behaviors, it significantly improves social interactions. It helps autistic people understand their own feelings better and cope more effectively. Without these skills, difficulties can lead to those frequent meltdowns or maybe a tendency to withdraw, pull away from others, which obviously hinders connection.
Right. And the third area?
And finally, just overall well-being. Emotional regulation is vital for mental health. Difficulty knowing or handling feelings consistently leads to more anxiety, more depression. Brain research again points to different processing pathways.
So it's biological too?
Very much so. But interestingly, the sources also highlight that fostering self-compassion, being kind to oneself during these struggles, that really helps lower mental health problems too.
That's fascinating. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because it's not just about feeling more, like you said, it's about how those feelings get processed and communicated.
Mm-hmm.
And our sources highlight some hidden hurdles, right?
Absolutely. These hurdles really reshape the whole emotional landscape. One of the core challenges, and it's a really profound one, is identifying emotions. This is often linked to something called alexithymia.
Alexithymia. Okay, what's that?
We often just assume, if someone's upset, they know what they're feeling. But the sources reveal a pretty startling truth.
Roughly half of all autistic people experience alexithymia.
Half. Wow.
Yeah, it means they literally struggle to identify or name their own emotions. Imagine living in a world of vivid colors but only having words for black and white. It profoundly changes how we need to approach support.
I can see that. How does that play out? Well, it can lead to those sudden meltdowns or shutdowns because the person doesn't recognize they're getting upset until the feeling is completely overwhelming. They haven't tracked it building up.
Because they couldn't name it earlier.
Exactly. And interestingly, some studies suggest autistic girls might experience alexithymia more than boys, which could make it harder for them to ask for help, perhaps.
So what helps with that?
Building an emotional vocabulary is key. Tools like emotion charts, maybe keeping a journal, mindfulness practices, social skills training, these are all incredibly helpful. And caregivers play a huge role too, just modeling how to talk about feeling.
Okay, so identifying emotions is one hurdle. What else?
Then there's sensory processing. We touched on this, but autistic people often sense things very differently. Small changes, a new sound, a bright light, even a shift in the texture of clothing can quickly become overwhelming. That makes emotional regulation much, much harder.
Right, the sensory overload idea.
Precisely. Too much input, loud noises, strong smells, crowded spaces, it causes immense stress and can trigger really intense emotions. Research directly links this sensory overresponsivity to higher anxiety and more difficulty with emotion regulation.
Are there different types of sensory processing issues?
Yes, the sources mention subtypes. For example, those who are sensory overresponsive tend to have higher anxiety and more dysregulation. But those who are underresponsive or maybe sensory seeking, they might also experience more dysregulation, sometimes alongside ADHD-like symptoms. It varies.
Got it. What other hurdles are there?
Triggers are another big factor. For autistic individuals, even small, unexpected changes, surprises, or specific sensory things can cause these strong, almost involuntary body reactions, like a faster heartbeat, a sudden surge of stress.
And brain differences play a role here too.
Yes, differences in brain areas like the amygdala, the emotion center, and the prefrontal cortex, which helps with control, definitely play a role in how emotions and stress are handled.
Okay, and the last one.
And finally, communication differences. This is huge. Many autistic people have trouble showing feelings with typical words or body language, and this can lead to really profound misunderstandings.
How so?
Well, nonverbal differences, maybe unique facial expressions, different gestures, vocal tone might lead others to mistakenly think they don't care or they aren't engaged. Social situations become particularly confusing because of these potential mismatches in communication style.
It really raises an important question then, doesn't it? If the fundamental experience of processing and communicating emotions is so different, how do we even begin to bridge those gaps?
That's the core challenge.
So, knowing these challenges, what's the path forward? Our sources lay out a clear three-step process for emotional regulation.
Exactly. And the sources offer a pretty clear roadmap, actually. The first step is recognizing emotions, just noticing feelings as they arise.
Which, as you said, can be hard with alexithymia.
Precisely. That's often where the barrier is. If someone can't notice their feelings building, it can lead to more sadness, more worry, especially as they get into their teen years.
So what tools help with just recognizing?
Lots of things can help. Pictures, emotion cards are great visuals. There's something called the 5-point scale. It's a visual tool to help rate feelings from, say, 1 being calm to 5 being totally overwhelmed.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's useful. Therapies like CBT, social skills lessons, occupational therapy all work on this too. Even simple supports like allowing stimming, self-stimulatory behaviors that provide comfort or just having designated calm spaces. These can be crucial.
Any tips for supporting someone with this step?
A key tip from the source is to always give extra time. Don't rush it. And use simple pictures. It fosters a sense of safety and makes understanding easier.
Okay, recognize emotions first. What's step 2?
Step 2 is monitoring feelings. This means watching how emotions change throughout the day, seeing the patterns.
How do you do that? Are there specific tools just for feelings?
Well, not exactly tools just for feelings, but several methods help track them effectively. Things like behavior sheets can show changes in mood over time. There are apps now that can track feelings in real time, which helps identify patterns.
Like mood tracking apps.
Kind of, yeah. And therapies like ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, they often use data to track behavioral changes that are linked to emotional shifts. Simple logs or notes can keep a personal record. Regular behavior checks can pinpoint triggers. Even parent and teacher notes, when shared, can reveal important patterns across different settings.
What's the main goal of monitoring?
The goal is really to help both the autistic individual and their support system see when feelings are getting too strong or what might be causing stress. That allows for better planning to prevent overwhelm before it happens.
Proactive rather than reactive.
Okay.
And step 3.
Step 3, and this one can be quite complex, is separating emotions from thoughts. Many autistic people find it really hard to distinguish what they feel from what they think, and that makes handling strong emotions tough.
Can you give an example?
Sure, someone might feel really mad after hearing a loud, sudden sound. That's the feeling. But at the same time, they might think, I can't handle this, or this is too much.
Okay.
If they can learn to see the feeling, the anger, and the thought, I can't handle this, as separate things, then they have more options. They can choose to try and calm the feeling, or maybe use positive self-talk to challenge that negative thought.
So it creates a bit of space.
Exactly. Skills like reflection and mindfulness are crucial here. Therapies like CBT explicitly teach people how to pause, notice the feeling, and then examine the thought critically.
That's why it takes practice.
Oh, absolutely. It takes time and consistent practice. Support from family, teachers, therapists, it's all incredibly important. But the real power here, as the sources emphasize, is how these seemingly simple steps become incredibly powerful tools when they're tailored specifically to that individual's needs.
That's a really crucial distinction, separating feelings from thoughts.
Right.
It definitely sounds like a lot to navigate. So knowing these steps, let's talk practicalities. What strategies are highlighted in our sources to actually help with these steps?
Yeah, the sources outline several really tangible and effective strategies. First up, visual supports. These are incredibly impactful.
Like the emotion cards you mentioned.
Exactly. Emotion charts, using faces or maybe colors for different feelings, help people know and name their emotions. Autistic kids especially often find it way easier to point to a picture than to try and verbalize how they feel.
Makes sense.
These charts help with awareness, regulation, even social skills. They're often used in ABA therapy too. Then there are social stories.
Social stories, right.
These use simple words and pictures to explain feelings in social situations. They really help lower anxiety by showing someone what to expect in a situation. A great tip is to use them proactively, like before a new experience or a change in routine.
Okay, visuals are key. What
Mm.
else?
Next, sensory tools. These are vital because, as we discussed, many autistic people react very strongly to sensory input.
Like fidget toys?
Fidget items, yeah, stress balls, chew necklaces, textured toys, they help calm and focus by providing that needed sensory outlet. But also things like calming spaces.
Tell me more about those.
These are quiet areas, maybe with soft lights, comfy seats, weighted blankets, pillows, maybe some gentle sounds. Occupational therapists often set up dedicated sensory rooms for this purpose. Research shows they significantly lower anxiety and improve mood by providing a safe retreat from overwhelming input.
Sounds amazing.
It is, but it's really important to remember everyone has different sensory needs. What's calming for one person might not be for another, so trying out different tools is key to finding what works best for each individual.
Right, personalization again. Okay, visual sensory tools. What else?
Finally, coping techniques. These are skills to actively calm down and handle stress when it arises. Deep breathing is a simple but profoundly powerful one.
Just basic deep breaths.
Yeah, it physically calms the body and mind, slows the heart rate, lowers stress. You can use counting, music, or pictures to help guide it. Another big one is positive self-talk.
Saying nice things to yourself.
Essentially, yes. Saying kind, encouraging things like, I can handle this, or it's okay to feel this way. It helps challenge negative thoughts, builds confidence, and also helps with that separation of feelings and thoughts we talked about.
Any other coping skills mentioned?
Oh, lots. Listening to music, drawing, going for a walk, using a favorite comfort object. Having consistent routines helps a lot too, as does using clear, predictable language. The emphasis is always on finding what fits that specific person's needs and preferences.
That makes perfect sense, finding what actually works for you. Okay, so beyond these individual strategies, our sources also point to the really crucial role of professional support, right? What therapies are highlighted for being particularly effective?
Yes, professional support is often key. Two main therapeutic approaches really stand out in the sources: cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and occupational therapy, OT. And alongside those, social skills training.
Okay, let's start with CBT. How does that help here?
CBT teaches people about the interplay between their thoughts, feelings, and actions. For autistic individuals, it helps them notice and change negative thought patterns that contribute to things like anxiety, anger, or
Does
sadness.
it work well for autistic kids?
Yes, studies involving, I think it was almost 2,500 autistic kids, show CBT significantly helps lower symptoms. Adapted CBT versions modified for autistic needs is shown to lower anxiety, improve social skills, and boost self-esteem.
How is it adapted?
Therapists often use more pictures, engaging activities. They might incorporate the person's special interests to make it more relatable. Practice with family, role-playing, group CBT sessions, these are often part of it too. The key is adapting it, often with slower pacing and more visuals.
Okay, that's CBT. What about occupational therapy, OT?
OT is fantastic because it helps with both daily living skills and sensory needs. OTs use techniques like sensory integration, things like swings, weighted blankets to help the nervous system process sensory input more effectively.
Sounds very hands-on.
Very hands-on. They might also use approaches like reflex integration or craniosacral therapy, focusing on the body's systems to promote calm and control. They teach practical skills too, like deep breathing, how to use sensory toys effectively, and how to identify or create quiet spaces.
Does OT address the emotional side directly too?
Yes, definitely. They might use emotional literacy games, role play to build emotional vocabulary and understanding. They also often create visual schedules to help with routine and transitions, and coach parents on how to support these skills at home and school. Research shows OT helps improve self-control and reduces irritability significantly.
Okay, and the third one was social skills training.
Right. Social skills training helps autistic people connect better with others and manage emotions specifically in social settings, which can be really challenging.
How does that work? Role-playing.
Role play is a big part of it, yes. It allows for safe practice of tricky social situations like how to join a group, start a conversation, or handle disagreements. This builds confidence and directly helps with emotional regulation in those contexts.
Are there group activities too?
Often, yes. Group activities like games, discussions, or collaborative projects are used to teach teamwork, communication, and problem-solving skills in a supportive setting. The research consistently shows these programs lead to better friendships, less loneliness, improves the social skills, and crucially, better emotional regulation.
What stood out to you about these therapies?
What's really fascinating and what the sources highlight is how these therapies aren't just applied generically. They are meticulously adapted, changed, tweaked to be truly effective for autistic individuals, rather than just being a standard approach plopped on top.
That adaptability does sound key. And listening to all this, it feels like it's not just about the individual strategies of the therapies themselves, is it? Our sources seem to emphasize that a strong support system, like a whole ecosystem of care, is absolutely vital.
That's absolutely right. It really is a holistic approach that builds the strongest foundation for emotional well-being. This ecosystem involves caregivers, professionals, and the environment itself.
Okay, let's break that down. Caregivers first.
Caregivers are profoundly crucial. They're the ones there day to day. They can model how to handle emotions calmly, use visuals consistently, establish calming routines. They're often the first to spot early signs of stress and can help implement calming strategies or adjust the environment before things escalate.
And there's support for caregivers too.
Yes, parent-mediated interventions, where therapists actually teach caregivers these skills, are shown to be really effective in lowering challenging behaviors and building emotional skills.
Uh-huh.
And importantly, the sources stress that caregivers also need their own self-care and support systems. It's demanding work.
Definitely. Okay, professionals, we touched on therapists.
Right. Professionals like therapists and teachers play a vital role too. Many use structured approaches like ABA, breaking down emotional responses into smaller steps. They use tools like feelings charts, zones of regulation. They model calm actions, teach coping skills, establish routines, provide quiet spaces, and use praise effectively.
And collaboration is important.
Hugely important. Professionals need to collaborate closely with caregivers to ensure skills are being applied consistently across home and school, and they adapt plans as needed for the individual.
Okay, caregivers, professionals, and the environment itself. How does that fit in?
The environment plays a massive, often underestimated role in emotional well-being. Simple things like calm colors, soft blues or greens can help prevent overstimulation.
We talked about sensory rooms.
Exactly. Sensory rooms with quiet spots, areas for movement, different textures, they help individuals control their sensory input. Weighted blankets, noise-canceling headphones, soft lighting can enhance comfort and provide a sense of security.
Even just organization.
Yes. Organized, predictable spaces reduce stress. Calming smells like lavender or soft background music can promote relaxation for some. A key point is involving autistic individuals in designing their own spaces whenever possible to ensure it genuinely meets their needs.
What else about the environment?
Using those visual supports consistently, picture cards, visual schedules helps with transitions. Having flexible routines can support adaptability. And just having designated safe spots at home, like a quiet corner or a tent, provides that crucial place to go to calm down and regroup.
Wow.
Yeah, if you connect it all to the bigger picture, it's really clear that this holistic approach, caregivers, professionals, and the environment working together, creates the strongest foundation for emotional well-being.
That's such a comprehensive view. It really highlights just how many elements need to align for true effective support. Now, look, this deep dive wouldn't really be complete if we didn't address some of the pervasive myths out there, things that can really get in the way of understanding and support.
You're so right. There are some really common misconceptions that absolutely need to be debunked clearly. Myth number one, autistic people do not feel emotions or want friends.
I hear this one a lot. What's the truth?
The truth is, autistic people feel emotions very deeply. Happiness, sadness, empathy, the whole range. They might just show these feelings differently.
How so?
Maybe by not making typical eye contact, or maybe they struggle to initiate conversations in a way neurotypical people expect. These differences can sometimes lead others to wrongly assume they don't care or aren't interested in friendship.
But they often do want connection.
Often, yes. They frequently do want to be social, but might struggle with expressing their feelings clearly or understanding subtle nonverbal cues from others. And, just like anyone else, they might also appreciate and need alone time sometimes. It doesn't mean they don't value connection.
Okay, myth one debunked. What's number two?
Myth number two, meltdowns are the same as tantrums. This is such a critical distinction and one that causes so much misunderstanding and judgment.
How are they different?
Okay, so tantrums are typically goal-oriented. Think of a child throwing a fit to get a toy or attention. They often stop if no one is watching, and they can usually be influenced by rewards or punishments.
Right. And meltdowns.
Meltdowns are completely different. They are a result of overwhelm, sensory, emotional, or informational overload. They are not goal-oriented. They can happen even when the person is completely alone. And crucially, they are not controllable by the individual experiencing them at that moment.
That's a huge difference.
Massive. Meltdowns can persist into adulthood, and they involve strong physiological changes, increased heart rate, stress hormones flooding the system, and intense emotions like fear or deep sadness. A meltdown is fundamentally a sign of being overwhelmed, not bad behavior. Understanding this is paramount to providing the right kind of support, not punishment.
That's incredibly important to clarify. Okay, what's the third myth?
And myth number three, a one-size-fits-all approach works for all autistic people. This is just plain untrue and maybe the most damaging myth of all because it leads to ineffective support.
Why is it so wrong?
Because each autistic person is unique, completely individual. Needs vary hugely in terms of sensory reactions, motor control challenges, brain connections, levels of self-awareness, specific triggers. There is simply no single universal solution that will work for everyone.
So support needs to be personalized.
Absolutely. Emotional regulation support must be individualized, carefully tailored to match each person's specific strengths, their challenges, and their needs. This really raises an important question, doesn't it? How many other areas of life beyond autism support could benefit from such clear distinctions and truly individualized understanding?
That's a powerful point. The importance of individualization really can't be overstated. Well, look, this deep dive has been incredibly informative, but it's just the beginning, of course. For those of you listening who want to explore further, our sources have highlighted some really excellent resources.
Yes, there are many valuable resources available if you want to learn more. For books, the sources recommend Recognizing and Regulating Emotions. It's an e-book using charts, pictures, activities, good for all ages. Also, Social Skills Training and Frustration Management by Jed Baker. It has exercises, pictures, uses CBT and social skills ideas. Cognitive Behavior Therapy for ASD by C. Gray offers hands-on activities for emotional problems. And there's one called Why Emotional Regulation Might Mean Everything. It was praised by Temple Grandin, explains emotions and sensory processing really well, and offers tips to prevent behavior problems by focusing on feelings first.
Those sound great. What about online resources?
For online materials, the Simply Psychology website is a really good expert-checked article specifically for autistic adults. It covers key topics like sensory overload, burnout, meltdowns, alexithymia, and it suggests practical strategies, things like creating sensory kits, finding safe spaces, expanding emotional vocabulary, mindfulness, using art or writing, routines, exercise, lots of practical stuff.
Excellent. And support groups.
Finally, yes, support groups are invaluable. They're safe places to share experiences, ask questions, learn directly from others who just get it. These can be local autism groups, maybe meetings run through schools or therapy centers, or even online forums and social media
What's
groups.
the main benefit?
They really help people feel less alone, gain confidence, and discover shared solutions and understanding. What's truly fascinating here, I think, is just how accessible so many of these valuable resources actually are. Many are right at our fingertips.
That's fantastic. Well, this deep dive has really shown us that emotional regulation in autism, while, yeah, it's complex, it's absolutely manageable with the right understanding, the right approach.
Mhm.
Autistic people feel emotions deeply, often intensely, and embracing that reality, alongside providing tailored support and strategies, is just profoundly key. It's a powerful reminder, really, that when communities care, learn, and truly support autistic people, everyone does better.
So, thinking about all this, what does it really mean for you listening? Perhaps the deepest dive we can take isn't just into understanding specific strategies, but into actively fostering a societal shift. A shift where all emotional experiences, no matter how they are processed or expressed, are met with profound acceptance and truly tailored support right from the very beginning.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel a little more well-informed and maybe a lot more connected to this vital topic.